Hi students, I am Soni Padikal, English ARP, Sri Chaitanya Techno Schools. The topic we are going to deal with today is active voice and passive voice. This particular topic, voice, is very important not only for the state syllabus but also for CBSE. We get this question directly in the examination for changing active into passive voice and also for editing purpose. And it will be useful for writing discourses as well as for question answers. So this particular topic has got a number of rules to be followed, and we will see them one after another according to different tenses. Here this particular topic, active and passive voice. We should first know what is the difference of active and passive voice. What is voice? When we want to introduce certain sentences to the listener, we can write one sentence in two different ways without changing the meaning. So here we have one example here. They cancelled the exam. Here we have the subject here, they. Cancelled is a verb. Object we have the examination. So here they cancelled the exam is written in the active voice form. Here what is active? The subject. The subject they is active. It is the doer of the action. So they cancel the exam comes under active voice. If we change the same into passive voice, we can see we have changed the object into the place of the subject here. The exam was cancelled. Here we have within the bracket we can see an agent by them. Here they became by them. The subject here has become the agent here. So here we see the sentence. Here they is given the priority. Here we have the exam given the importance here. So the passive voice gives priority to the action. Here it was the object here. Now it has brought forward to the place of the subject. So when we change the priority from the agent or the doer of the action, we call it here the doer of the action. In passive voice it becomes the agent here. So if we give the priority to the doer of the action, that is active voice. That means the subject here is active. What is active? The subject is active here. So we call this one as a active voice. Here the place of the subject is occupied by the exam. But the exam is not doing the work. It is not the doer of the action. Here the subject is passive. Therefore we call this sentence as passive voice. Because the subject is passive here, it doesn't do the work. And here we have introduced a new verb was, that is a helping verb. So this particular word is the most important change that we make when we change active into passive voice. Introduction of a new helping verb. And the verb we can see here, it was the cancelled V2 form, and here this is the V3 form. So helping verb along with the V3 form creates the passive voice here. And we have used this by them within the bracket because here even without this agent the sentence is complete here. So we say the exam was cancelled. Even if we remove this by them the agent, the meaning is still clear. So this is the difference of active and passive. We use active voice and passive voice in our day-to-day life, both for written English as well as for spoken English. Basically we use passive voice for written English, especially in the media or when we read newspaper, you come across more usage of passive voice. Now let us think about different examples, how we change active into passive voice depending on different tense forms. We have one more example here. This is written in simple present tense. John writes stories. John writes stories. Here we know the verb is writes and the tense of the verb here is simple present tense. How do we change the simple present active voice into simple present passive voice? So as you know, this is written in active voice. Because the doer of the action, John, is doing the work. The subject is active, so this is active voice. John writes stories. Here writes is a verb and stories is the object here. Now changing the active into passive, we have to replace the positions of subject and the object. So we are bringing the stories into the place of subject here. Now stories has become the subject here, and the writes verb has become now written, the V3 form. And most importantly, we have included a helping verb here, and that is an important part of passive voice. And which helping verb did we introduce here? Are. And the purpose of introducing are here as a helping verb, here we see the helping verbs is are related to the tense present simple. So out of which we have three choices to make for present tense: is, or are, or am. Here the subject here is stories now. Subject being the stories, it is in the plural form. So we have to take one of this one, that is a plural helping verb is are. So stories are. Now verb is V3 written by John. This is the agent here, which was the subject of the active voice. So subject of the active voice now has become the agent here in the passive voice. Now this is the most important area we have to focus when we write active into passive voice. Which helping verb has to be introduced? Because verb is always in the V3. The main verb or the action verb is always in the V3. So we need not worry about this change of verb, but we should take care of the helping verb. Which helping verb we have to introduce? So now we will step by step we will come to know what are the helping verbs based on the tenses to be introduced. So once again, the simple present tense helping verbs are is, are, am, out of which based on the singular subject we have to take is. If the subject is plural, we have to go for are, and if I comes as the subject here, we have to go for am. Now one more example here. He speaks Spanish. The subject here is he. Is he doing the work? Yeah, subject is doing the work because he is the doer of the action, so it is in the active voice form. He speaks Spanish. This is active voice. Now changing the object into the position of the subject. Spanish. Here we have taken is as the helping verb because Spanish is singular, so we have to go for the singular helping verb, and speaks is the verb form that shows present tense, simple present tense. So based on the simple present tense and based on the subject, we take is as the helping verb. Now spoken, speak, spoke, spoken, verb 1, verb 2 and verb 3 form. So Spanish is spoken by them. Even if we remove this agent here, we know the meaning is complete for the sentence that Spanish is spoken. So the agent we may use or we may avoid even depending on the requirement, or if it is understood we can even avoid them. So here remember, present simple helping verbs are, is, am, are. Select one of them for present simple passive voice based on the subject singular or plural subject. Here stories was the plural, we have taken are. Here Spanish is singular subject, so we have taken is. We have another example now in another tense form, that is present continuous form. Children are playing cricket. Are playing, that is the present continuous form. Children are playing cricket. How do we change the present continuous form into present continuous passive voice? Cricket is being played by children. Here we can notice we have introduced two new helping verb forms, be forms, is, being. So this is what we have to notice when we change continuous tense active into passive. And why have we taken is, being? When we have a continuous present continuous form of the verb in the active voice, we have to introduce being, be forms into the passive voice. Here is taken because the subject here is singular and the tense is present tense. As we already seen, is, are present tense helping verbs. And now we have introduced being because this gives indication that the tense in the active voice is a continuous form. Is, are playing. Playing became being played. So verb became V3 as usual. As you know, passive voice is always written in the V3 form of the verb. So cricket is being played by them. So remember, whenever we introduce a present continuous helping verb, one of these helping verbs is, are, along with being plus V3 we have to introduce. So remember, being, and you can notice there is an ing here also, be plus ing, being. So this ing is an indication that the active voice is written in the ing form. So continuous form takes being in the passive voice. One more example we will see here. They are writing exams. They are writing exams. So this is the continuous form. Are writing is the present continuous form. And now we change the object into the place of the subject. Exams are being written by them. Being written. Are, we have taken the helping verb are because subject here is plural. Being we have taken because here we have an ing form of the verb. So are being written, the V3 form of the verb, by them. Exams are being written by them. So remember once again, the helping verb is are, along with being we have to introduce for continuous, present continuous form of passive voice. We have another example now, present perfect tense. Present perfect tense introduces a new helping verb has and have. So here we can see the example, I have written a novel. So here have plus V3 form, have plus V3 form, we have present perfect tense. And this is in the active voice form. How do we change the present perfect into passive voice? A novel, so we have taken the object into the subject place. A novel has been written by me. So here we can see a new be form is introduced along with has been written, this here we have V3. So this is a new be form introduced along with the perfect form has. So a novel has been written by me. So when we combine this has and been together, it has become a present perfect passive voice. And where we take has, where we take been, we have to see once again, here a novel, the subject is singular, therefore we have taken the has form. If we have both two choices here, has and have, both are there. If the subject is singular, we go for has. If the subject is plural, we go for have. And first person I and we both takes have. I, you, we, they, and plural subjects take have. He, she, it, and singular subjects take has as the helping verb here. And been is common for has and have plus V3, present perfect passive voice. So the tense here is present perfect. Helping verbs are has or have plus been and V3 as usual. We will see one more example here. Pavan has bought a new car. So has bought is the present perfect tense, and when we change the present perfect active into passive voice, a new car has been bought by Pavan. A new car has been bought by Pavan. So here we have taken has because a new car is singular, and has we have taken the same here also both. Here Pavan is singular, so we have taken has, and here a new car is singular again, so we have taken has. Been is introduced because it is a passive voice, so a new car has been bought by Pavan. This is the passive form of changing present perfect into present perfect passive. Remember once again, has or have plus been plus V3. We have completed present tense passive voice. Now we will get into past tense passive voice forms. Till now we have completed simple present, present continuous and present perfect. Now we have a new example here, that is in the simple past tense. India won the World Cup. So here the verb is won. This is the past tense form of win. So it is simple past. So India won the World Cup. Active voice. The World Cup was won by India. So here we have introduced a new helping verb, was. And how do we select this helping verb here? We can see we have two helping verbs when the simple past tense is introduced. They are was and were. We select was if the new subject is in the singular form, and we go for were when the subject is in the plural form. So here the World Cup is the new subject, that is singular, so we take was. So the World Cup was won by India. We'll go for another example here. Suresh directed a movie. Suresh directed a movie. Directed is the past form, simple past. So we have to introduce one of the helping verbs, was or were, plus V3. Directed will be in the V3 form, directed only. So a movie was directed by Suresh. So why did we take was here as a helping verb? Because the new subject here, movie, is singular and the verb is past form. So based on the tense and based on the new subject, we have selected was as a helping verb, and V3 directed is in the same V3 form. So a movie was directed by Suresh. So changing past tense active voice into past tense passive voice, we use one of these helping verbs along with V3 form of the main verb. Now let us change the active voice into passive voice based on past continuous tense. How does we change a past continuous active into passive voice? Here let's see an example. They were playing cricket. So here we can see the helping verb were playing. So that shows it is past continuous tense. Now how did we change? Cricket was being played by them. So we have changed the object in the subject form here, and we introduced was being. So as we discussed already, for present continuous tense, the word being, the be form, is introduced to show that the active voice is in the continuous form, and the was shows it is past tense and being shows it is the continuous form. So cricket was being played by them. So that is a passive voice of past continuous. So the tense is past continuous and the helping verbs used were was, were plus being and V3. So this was, were plus being shows it is a past continuous tense active into passive. Let's see one more example. Ivan was teaching the students. So here we can see the past continuous form, was teaching. Changing into passive, the students were being taught by him, by Ivan. So here were is introduced because we have a plural subject here. So when the subject is plural, we go for were. If the subject is singular, we go for was. So in the first example, cricket was singular. So we have taken was being because based on the subject, it is singular. So here the subject is plural. So we go for were being taught by Ivan. So changing active into passive, past continuous. Remember the helping verbs was, were plus being plus V3. Now let us see how do we change past perfect active into passive voice. Past perfect structure, as we already know, is had V3. And how do we change past perfect into past perfect passive voice? India had won the World Cup. So this is the active voice form because the subject here is in India and it is the subject here doing the action. So India had won the World Cup. Changing it into passive form, the World Cup had been won by India. So we have introduced been here. That shows it is a passive form of the perfect tense here. So World Cup had been won by India. Let's see another example here. Tarun had written the exam. So here the subject is Tarun and the verb had written, past perfect form. The exam, the object here. So Tarun had written the exam, that is the active voice form. Changing it into passive, we are replacing the subject and the object. So starting with the exam as a subject, the exam had been written by Tarun. So the same had we have repeated. So that shows the past perfect form. And we introduced been, that shows it is a passive form. So had been coming together shows past perfect passive form. So had written now became had been written by Tarun. So once again, the tense we are discussing now is past perfect tense. The helping verb we used is had been plus V3. So once again, had one became had been one. Had written is changed into had been written. That is past perfect tense. So dear students, to change active into passive voice, the most important table of helping verb that we have to learn from here, I have written it in a tabular format. So once we learn these helping verbs, which helping verb has to be selected? That will help you to change the active into passive very easily. So please write down this table on a notebook and remember this particular table so that it will be easy for you when you are going to convert the active into passive in the examination time. So let's see what are the helping verbs based on the tenses. Here we can see the simple present. The helping verb used for simple present passive is, am, are plus V3. So change is or am or are depending on the singular or plural subject. For example, if I say he is doing a work, so he is a subject and that is singular, or they are playing, they is a subject, that is plural. So depending on the singular or plural subject, select one of these helping verbs. So remember, we have three choices here. Take one depending on singular or plural subject. If the given active voice is in the present continuous form, we have to select is, am or are plus being. So remember, this being shows the given active voice in the continuous form, and we retain the continuous form in the passive by using the be form being. So take one of these helping verbs out of is, am or are plus being plus V3. And obviously all the verb forms, main verb will be in the V3 form in the passive voice. Present perfect tenses, we take has or have along with been. So this particular word been is used only for perfect tenses. We can see also the same been used for past perfect. So past perfect and present perfect, we use been to change the active into passive voice. In present perfect, we use has, have, been. In past perfect, we use had been. Obviously, verb is in the V3 form. Simple past, if the given active voice is in the simple past form, take either was or were plus V3 form. So here also remember, was is taken for singular subject and were is taken for plural subject. Past continuous active voice, we change into passive by taking was, were plus being. So this being, we already have seen in the present continuous also we have a being here. Past continuous we have a was, were, being. Present continuous is, am, are, being. Past continuous was, were, being plus V3. So this, remember, this ing form is for continuous tenses. Past perfect. Past perfect, we have only one helping verb, so that is easier than that of the present perfect. In present perfect, we have has or have based on singular and plural subject. In past perfect, we have only one had, so it becomes had been V3. Shall, will, can or may. If the given question is in the future tenses, that will be either shall or will, or sometimes it may be given in can or may. One of the same helping verb will be repeated If shall is given, it can be shall or will. If will is given, it will be again will. If can or may is given, the same can or may will be repeated along with be plus V3. So shall be, will be, can be, may be plus V3. That is a way we change future into future passive. So this particular table of helping verb, passive voice helping verb, will help you to change an active into passive very easily. Remember, this helping verb is going to be the most deciding factor whether the answer is going to be correct or not, because other changes, changing active, the subject into object or object into subject, changing the V3 are easier, but deciding one of the helping verbs will decide your answer accuracy.